now let's look at your weaknesses. You know the story of Superman. You're familiar with that boy from Krypton who was sent to Earth and took on a job as a lowly newspaper reporter at the Daily Planet, hiding behind a pair of thick frame glasses while at the same time dashing off to the nearest phone booth to save a plane that was falling out of the sky or help the police catch a bank robber. With all the strengths that Superman has, there's still one tried and true way to bring him down, a radioactive piece of his planet known as kryptonite. What about your kryptonite? What are the weaknesses that have prevented you from being successful in the past, and unless you overcome them, are going to keep preventing you from being successful in the future? Okay, so here's where you're going to need to be honest. You can be honest with yourself here, because if you can't be honest with yourself, who can you be honest with? If you want to improve your life and start achieving your goals, you're going to have to take a good and hard look at some things that you might not be proud of. If you procrastinate doing work on your online business because it interferes with your primetime television shows, be honest about it. If you're terrible at managing your time, be honest about that as well. In this third video of this Entrepreneur Mindset series, we're going to look at your weaknesses. If you haven't seen the first two, make sure to pause this video and go back and check out the previous videos. You can find them in the description box. We're going to split these weaknesses into 3 categories. The first type of weaknesses that we're going to discuss is interpersonal weaknesses. These are weaknesses that come from other people. Most of the time, you would not have people stopping you from achieving success. You would just think that they are stopping you. This is a mental block rather than an interpersonal one. You can identify when interpersonal weakness is a mental one because the person that you think is stopping you from achieving your success hasn't said or done anything to prevent you from being successful. An example of this would be someone that's afraid to take that leap of faith because they don't want to disappoint their parents when they haven't actually even discussed the matter with their parents and don't know for sure what their reactions will be at all. An actual interpersonal weakness, when you have someone that's blocking you, is more difficult to get past. This usually comes in the form of a spouse. The spouse may not understand what it is that you're trying to do. They might be afraid of financial difficulties or that you will change and they aren't sure where that leaves them. This impediment can come in the form of anger. Then there's the physical impediments. Depending on the exact type of physical problem, this can be easily resolved or it can be nearly impossible. If you want to understand how this weakness works, imagine that you wanted to become a graphic designer. But the issue is you don't have a computer. You have no access to Photoshop and you wouldn't have known how to create something in Photoshop even if you did. In this situation, 2 of the physical blocks could be solved with money. You can buy a computer and also Adobe Photoshop to help you become a graphic designer. Then there are some mental blocks. The last type of weakness that we'll talk about is probably the most difficult to face. These are the mental blocks, the things that you believe or things that keep you from achieving your goals. If you have a self-destructive personality, it can keep you from being successful. Figuring out what these mental weaknesses are is probably the hardest step, but once you figure out what is mentally blocking you from being successful, then you can start to take steps to remove these mental blocks one by one. What you will normally find is that these blocks aren't helpful, and they certainly aren't logical. You might have a fear of failure that's based on some past event that has no real bearing on your life today, but since that mental block has always been there, it seems like it belongs. You have 2 choices when it comes to these mental blocks. You can cultivate a failure mindset, reinforcing it every single day with negative self-talk, even subconsciously, or you can chip away at these different mental blocks every single day until you have removed them completely. What is interesting is that both of these take about the same amount of time. You just have to decide if you're going to keep your mental blocks up or work on removing them. Quick homework from this video. Let me know in the comment section down below what is one of your weaknesses. When you're ready, come find me in the next video where we're going to talk all about healthy mindset habits. This is a big one. You'll find the link in the description box or over here on the screen, and I'll see you over there.